Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1998, and I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm going to be practicing the Blue Knights 2011 shopping spree. In all of these practice streams, I've got timestamps in the description across all 450 plus of them that shows what I was practicing or what I was talking about. I will often have people stop by and ask questions about how to drum and how to teach because I've been drumming for almost 30 years and because I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education. I will often edit those answers and put them into this drumming tips playlist that has over 15 hours of questions that I've answered live on stream. And the first thing that I talk about in each one of these videos is the title. So for example, how to improve the second note of a diddle. And then if it says and other drumming tips, that means there are more tips in there than just that topic. If it does not say that, for example, so you're thinking of getting a doctorate in music, then that means all I'm talking about is whether or not it's worth it to get a doctorate in music, specifically music education. But again, there's over 100 videos in here and over 15 hours of drumming tips. Now, I am going to be working on a challenging shopping spree, so I need to get motivated with Shia LaBeouf. So Shia, help me out here. Here we go. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop. Test. Yay, it's back. Strolls, I appreciate it. Yeah, apparently Streamlabs doesn't like Shia LaBeouf today, so fine. We won't get motivated with Shia LaBeouf. We will just go right into it. All right, on my home tab of YouTube, or if you go to the link that's up at the top of the screen, jaredoleary.com/drum, this takes you to my website that has over 2,000 free exercises and over 15 hours of drumming tips. At the top, under the chop section, we've got 80 chop exercises. These are playlists, most of these. So like there's a bunch of chug variations. There's 29 chopping spree variations. I'm going to work on that here in a moment. There's over 1,000 grid variations for triplet, for 16th note, as well as some wacky stuff like Herta grid, things like that. Limb independence. I was practicing this yesterday, working on some pretty difficult patterns, but there's straight charts, swung charts, and then permutations so you can work on the patterns to be able to do limb independence. Every one of these playlists links to this video as a second video, how to develop limb independence on the drum kit. Check that out if you're interested in it. There's almost 500 marching bass drum exercises in here. I'd highly recommend focusing on marking time with the timing exercises, and then you can work on the splits timing variations. There's a bunch of drumline cadences, and there's almost 400 technique exercises. So if you want to work on endurance and speed, go there. If you want to work on your flams, go there. If you want to work on your rolls, go to the bottom ones, etc. And then the tips and lessons has a bunch of scripted lessons, and then again, this one has over 15 hours of drumming tips from when people have asked questions during these office hours. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top. I'm going to the chop section, and today I'm working on a spree that just released this morning, like an hour or so ago. So we're finally not doing a Blue Devil spree. We've got a ton of those. But the one we're doing today is the Blue Knights 2011 shopping spree. And that is not the resolution that I am looking for. In all of these thousands of free play-alongs, you can go into the timestamp, but you can jump to a specific BPM. I'm going to start off at 40 and just go one click at a time. Then we'll stretch and massage, and then I'll go up like 3 clicks at a time until I can't play it anymore. But if you want to go faster than me right away, you can. This goes up to 200 beats a minute, every single click in between. Let's click. Let's turn up the volume. Jam, pump it up. Let's get this going. This is the Blue Knights Percussion Ensemble, the WGI group, by the way. Already starting off a little weird. Just wait. Oops. Rush. That's such a weird phrase. That timing's weird. Oops. Hey. So weird. Okay, so on that last part there, I was like, why did it have a meter change? So this is like, was high up, the 4. So it was like, oh, the 4s is continuing. So I was trying to do the 16th notes, just like going through it. No. It's basically going from a duple into a sextuplet feel. So my bad. All right, cool. Yeah, so this is weird. Timing right here is weird. The phrasing going back between like a sextuplet feel and then a 4 feel, it's weird. We'll get used to it. Hard to sight read through this one. Hello. Welcome back, Tracy. I'm gonna leave the rim shots off. Feel free to add them if you want. Oops. Alternated. My bad. Second page gets even weirder. Dang. So weird. Oops. So is that screwed up here? Is that just normal Shirley Murphy's? Putted a 3, putted a 3, 3. Oh, okay. I thought it was like an extended Shirley Murphy. So putted a 3, putted a 3. Also known as a 1, 2, 3 because you're playing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, Glim. How you doing today? So 1, 2, 3. That's one Shirley Murphy, and then you do it off the left. And then you do 3, 3. Woo! This one's hard. The measure with 2 buzzes is weird. Yeah, it's super weird. So we have like 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, that's so weird. I'll eventually get it. Hopefully in the next hour. We'll find out. This is a cool spree, but it's tricky. Trixie Hobbitus. I'm not good at it yet. Oops. Oop. No! There we go. Just trying to read while doing that. Yeah! If you bob your head, you get it. Spree has to be favorite spree. Measure 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me get to it. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. Yeah, it's an interesting measure. I really like this one too. This phrase is fun. This is also a fun phrase. These inverts will be hard at faster speeds. This one's cool. Woo! Weird. Also, interesting phrases. Such a unique spree. Oops. Rushed it. Sweet, last rep, and then I'll stretch and massage, and then we'll start going up by threes on this. Probably one of the more unique sprees. 100%. It's such a interesting departure from like the previous Blue Devil sprees that we're playing. Much longer too. Very cool though. Interesting timing there. That constant back and forth between duple and triple. It's cool. Oops. Sweet. GG's transcribing that, Glenn. That's a tough one. All right, cool. Let's stretch and massage, and then we'll continue playing through it in a wee moment. First one is stretching the sides of the forearms. It looks funny. It feels great. Oh, yeah. After doing this, I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could do it like this, where you pull back. You could do it on your pad like I demonstrated 2 days ago, or you could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch, but don't put all your weight into it. I'm going to do it this way. It feels good. Now I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm, so I could pull back like this. I could do it on my legs like I did yesterday. I could do it right here. You could do it on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. Again, don't put all your weight into it. I'm going to do it this way. Ooh-wee. You're still not 100% about a couple of measures? There's one on page 1 on the very last line where it goes into the 16th note roll. I think instead of being 2 12/8 bars, I think it might be a 24/8, and it's like a quintuplet, so it's a 5-lit in the space of those 4 eighth notes, which is weird. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this one right here, this diddle into there, I think this is a 24/8 instead of 12/8 and 12/8, and then this 5-lit would blur over what is currently a measure right here. So that way there's not like a rhythmic change with the diddle. Oh, you can't see it. That's hilarious. I should look at the monitor for that. So this one that I'm talking about. So I think this is a 12/8. This is a 12/8 currently, but I think this is actually a 24/8. And then this might be a quintuplet. So the 5 notes connected here. Just a guess, though. I don't know. But it's weird. Weird phrase. A lot of the stuff in here is really weird. It's cool, like super neat, unique spree, but haven't seen anything like this before for a shopping spree. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna massage. So I'm gonna massage the forearm with the thumb, and then the fingers are massaging underneath the forearm. Ooh, that feels good. I needed it. You can turn it over like this, like you're kneading dough. And switch. And next, I'm going to massage the palm with the thumb, and then the fingers massage the back side of the hand. Been so sleepy the last couple weeks. Switch to the other hand. And then the last massage that I'll do is from the base to the tip of each one of the fingers. Massaging at least 2 times, going up. If the finger is tighter than like the others, then I'll spend like 3 or 4 reps on it. Kind of working my way. Ooh, ASMR. Enjoy. Free of charge. I'm very generous with my ASMRing. What's the verb for that? ASMRing? Asmering. Do. Alrighty. Let me get some water, and then we'll do this on 45. So what I'm going to do now is start going up by like 3s. But if you want to keep working on this, grinding it out 1 click at a time, you totally can. I'm just trying to like do a sample of this every day with these new shopping sprees that keep releasing every other day. So kind of going through it fast. But if I were to sit here and like try and memorize it and like really learn it, then I would totally just go 1 click at a time, starting at 40. Most of the streams I do that, but this is kind of different because there's so many of them coming out over this month. Rushed. A little late. Early. Sweet. Now let's go up to 48. Click. Again, go by one if you need to. Take it slow. There's no shame in practicing slow. If I can do it, you can do it. Slow. Hello on Twitch. No! I keep shortchanging that. Okay, so that was a 48, so we're gonna do this. Sorry, I only speak English and a little bit of Japanese. Do 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 do. No idea what you're trying to say. The translation is weird. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say goodbye. All right, cool. So that was 48. So now let's go up to 51. Whoop. Going up by threes-ish. Lost count in there. Odd number. Okay, that was 51. Cool. So let's go faster. 54. Got to work on aim training on clicking the BPMs. Almost missed. Got the headshot though. Yeah. What? It's your freshman year and you're on tenors? Nice. I'd highly recommend taking a look at the home tab on my YouTube and focusing on the technique exercises. There's almost 400 exercises just for technique. The one that I'm playing through is fun, but this should be like 10% of your practice time is the chop stuff. Start slow though. On my home tab of YouTube, under the tips and lessons section, there's over 15 hours of tips on there. All the stuff I wish I knew when I started marching in drumline. Sweet. Okay, so just so I can show you where it's at, if you go to the home tab of YouTube, there's over 2,000 free exercises on here. So the section that I'm practicing in right now are the chop section. And what I'd recommend is spending 10%, at most 20% of your time working on this if you are a rudimental drummer like myself. Where I'm at right now is inside of the shopping spree playlist. There's 29 shopping sprees inside of there. Some more that are releasing soon over the next couple of weeks, every other day, so stay tuned. There's over 1,000 grid variations. I'd recommend spending 30, maybe 40% of your time working on these. If you click on the header, it shows you all the different variations for the different rudiments. What I'd recommend, especially if you're newer to drumline, is focus just on rudiment on one for variations like diddles for triplet and 16th note, flams, cheeses, flam drags, and flam fives. Now, when you look at this, there's like 33 videos in here, 28 videos in here, 41 videos in here. Don't worry about all the wacky stuff. Just focus on the first couple that are like rudiment on one. So like flam drag on one. Go slow, using the timestamps in the description, and just let it go up one click at a time, and you'll slowly get better at each one of the rudiments. It's permutating the accent, which means it shifts it back across the rudiment, so you can play any kind of combination when you work on it. Limb independence, if you're working on drum kit, I'd highly recommend taking a look at the second video inside of here that talks about how to develop limb independence in all of these different chart playlists and the timing playlist. If you march for bass drum, there's almost 500 exercises in here for bass drum. What I'd recommend doing is actually focusing on the second half of stuff, the timing exercises while marking time. All of these playlists are great for working on your understanding of rhythms and whatnot, because you'll be playing along to a computer that is perfectly rhythmically accurate. And then if you're more intermediate or advanced, check out the splits timing variations. That kind of simulates what it's like to be on a bass line practicing by yourself, by muting and unmuting different parts. You'll see when you play along with one of those. There's some drumline cadences in here. There's also 400 technique exercises. I'd recommend spending 50 to 60% of your time on this, especially if you're a rudimental drummer. There's so many that you have to click on the header to show all the different playlists. So you can work on your accent taps, you can work on your flams, you can work on your fulcrum control, you can work on your roll exercises, etc. Your 3s and 4 strokes, whatever you want to do. Again, focus on playing slow. And if you are interested in hearing more about how to get better as a drummer, the tips and lessons section has currently 12 scripted videos, like here's how you hold traditional grip, or here's how you can practice quietly, etc. And then it's got over 15 hours of drumming tips when people have come into these like office hours where I'm just kind of like practicing, and they'll ask me questions like, hey, how do I get better at drumming on this thing? Or how do I get better at teaching on this thing? The first thing that I talk about is the title, and then anything after that where it says and other drumming tips means there's more that are topics discussed in it than that. So like this one is how to improve the second note of a diddle. After that, I talk about some other things. If you don't like the title, check out the timestamps in the description. There might be something that is of more interest to you that would be more relevant to what you want to learn about. Okay, so that was at 54. So we're going to go to 57. Again, I recommend if you're trying to learn something, just go up one click at a time. Helps. But I'm just doing a sampling of this one today, so we're going up by 3s. But in most of the technique streams, I just go one click. And I've been drumming for almost 30 years, so if I can do it, you can do it too. Page 2. Sweet. That was fun. Pop. All right. Let's go to 60. Thank you for the like. Again, this is under the chop section on the home tab of YouTube. There's currently 80 chop videos, but, 2,000 more other videos. You can go at whatever speed you want. So if you want to slow the sound, do it. If you want to speed it up, do it. You're a new sub. Well, I appreciate it. Home tab. That's where you'll find everything. Sweet. And, well, hello. in addition to the home tab, you can actually also go to the first link that says more drumming playlists. It's also the first link in each one of the comments. It takes you to jaredaleary.com/drum, which is linked up there. And then this is where we've got over 2,000 exercises organized. So like into chop stuff, here's all the grid stuff. Here's the limb independent stuff. Here's the marching bass drum stuff, the scores for cadences, all the technique exercises. And then here's where there's all the 15 plus hours of drumming tips and whatnot. So however you want to do it, if you want to go to the home tab, cool. If you want to go to the link at the top of the screen to find just the drumming stuff without all the other things organized neater, cool. You can do that too. Okie dokie. What speed was that? 700. Cool. All right, so that was at 60. So let's jump up a couple more. Whoop. I missed it. Actually thinking about this is interesting. So the second page, like this right here, so this flam accent, it feels like that's the downbeat. So count 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then like a lot of these phrases come in like on basically beat 4 with it. It's interesting. It's such a unique spree. I like it. Let's actually, I haven't broken it down yet, so let's talk about it. So this strapping spree starts off with just your normal check pattern, so flam access, cool. Then it just already gets into some wackiness. So we start off with a flam drag, and you're like, cool, it's going to be a normal spree. Nope. So we've got cheese inverts here, cha-da-da, but then instead of playing this one off the left hand like you would for an invert, you play it as a flam fives, and then cha-cha-cha. Now all of a sudden our check is off the left hand. What? And then we have right here alternating cha-cha-cha-da-da-da-da, and then we do it off the right, cha-cha-da-da-da-da, cha-da-da-da-da-da, into a release. So some fun variations of flam fives where it's like we're basically taking away a grace note beforehand or a flam beforehand. So we have 1, 2, flam 5, 1, flam 5, and just flam 5. So unique phrasing right there. Flam accents. And then this pattern kind of starts off right here where we have the left hand, cheese cha-da-cha, into a cheese Chicago right here off the right hand, cha-da-da-cha-cha, into a cheese invert, into a crescendo. You can think of it as pickup, triplet, so counting the right hand, pickup 1, 2, 3, or you can think of it as 1E and a 2E and a however you want to think of it to get all 8 notes in there. Check right here, so we have cha-da-da, cha-da-da, and then this thing just kind of comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden we're into a duple feel, so we have cha-da-da, 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 cha-da-da-da, and it's like, what? All of a sudden throwing in those flam axes. It's just like, okay, what's going on right here? We have paradiddle diddle with 2 extra diddles. Paradiddle diddle, diddle diddle. Just like extend it to the release right here. And then this phrase is interesting. So you're basically going 2, 3, 2, 3. So flam tap rudiment, In this case, a flam drag. Then flam tap, flam 5, flam tap, Swiss drag. So right here, we have a 5-note pattern with inverts. So 3, 2, then you repeat that again. 3, 2, then you repeat that again. 3, 2. So we have chudda da chudda, chudda da chudda, chudda da chudda. So you're doing that 3 total times. It's almost like it's a mirror of the pattern here, where it's going 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. It honestly reminds me a lot of like Indian hand drumming, so like tabla and whatnot, like the rhythmic phrases going on here. Very cool. And then all of a sudden, again, we go into a duple feel. We have what? Into a flam 5's cool, but then this one's weird. So we have all of a sudden it just like accelerates right here on this roll. Funky phrase, pretty cool though. This one I really like to kind of lift up that right hand there, but I don't remember if they did that in either of the videos that Glenn was able to find. Thank you, Glenn, for that. Now on page 2, we have flam accent, cha-da-da-cha-da-da. So what's going on right here is it's basically shifting over the accent pattern. So right now it's on 1 right here. Then it's on 2 of the triplet. Then it's on 3 of the triplet. And then the flam accent's removed. Then it does the same thing, but this time with flam drag. So flam drag with accent on 1, flam drag with accent on 2, flam drag with accent on 3, that immediately goes into a flam 5. So again, grid variations will help prepare you to be able to play stuff like this, which is one of the reasons why I recommend spending 30 to 40% of your time working on grid variations with rudiment on 1. So when you get to something like this, you're not thrown off by where the diddle placement is. You're just going, oh, it's on the 2nd partial of a flam drag, or the 3rd partial of a flam drag, etc. Okay, so flam 5 into a tap 5. Into, again, some weird duple patterns. So we have that left hand is just playing like 8 on a hand slowly for this 3 counts. So we have bum, 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 cha, da, da, Okay, so all you're doing is filling in with the left hand, or the right hand rather. Okay, so weird phrasing, cool though. Then we go into basically a measure of check, starting right here. Cha da da cha da da cha da da cha da da. Nothing weird about that. Now we're again doing an upbeat flam drag. Da 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 da. Into an upbeat flam drag that goes right into a 5-stroke. So we have into a book report right here with an accent and left, which we did in the shopping spree 2 days ago, I think. Maybe it was 4 days ago, I forget. So, book report. That rudiment, I can't language. But you're putting a left-hand diddle on here. Oops, sorry. That's off the diddle. Into this, which leads into, this is a funky rhythm. So think of it as like triplet, 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 da, 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 da. Funky, cool though. So just count the triplets. Triplet, 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 gum. So right here we have yet another 5-note grouping pattern, but as 16th notes. Weird, funky, cool though. So we have pick up into it, da, 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 into ta da cha da da, ta da cha da da. So you do that twice. Then you do it again. Into 2 flam taps. 5-stroke. Into flam taps right here. And then we have like paradiddle stop variations. We have paradiddle stop, paradiddle, no accent. Right here, 16th notes, just 3s. So you're going triple, 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 into 2 Shirley Murphys, 1 off the right hand, put it a 3, 1 off the left hand, put it a 3, and then 3, 3. The stream says it's Blue Devils. What? Well, let me fix that. And then it releases with 3, 3 into the accent right there, or the crescendo rather. Fixing the problem. Thank you, Glenn. This is not the Blue Devils. It's funny that one of them says Blue Devils and the other one says Blue Knights. Blue Knights. K Knights. Alright, it should fix at some point. It might need a refresh, but thank you, Glenn. Okay. So we just played this at what? 63. Cool. Let's try it at 66. Whoa! That's not where I want to go. Why is it that all drummers like computer science and gaming? For me, it's autism. I don't know how for all of you. You don't like computer science? You don't like computer science? Well, Glenn, you need to unsubscribe. How dare you? Yeah, honestly, so another interesting, so because I've taught computer science and like work with computer science educators, I actually know quite a few people who were like have degrees in music education like I do, and then started teaching computer science. And there's also a surprising number of saxophone players who are really into music technology and computer science. It's interesting. It's usually like drummers, saxophone players, and those are like the two most common that I see as like people who convert over to the computer science side of things. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I could totally do a study on it, like the people who do that. You have a bunch of drum techs that either minored in CS or minored in music ed. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I've noticed a similar pattern as well. I don't know. It's fun. I like all of them. You do too, right? Yep. She's nodding her head. She's like, I don't know what I'm agreeing to. Here we go. No! I messed up. Unsub. Guys are talking about education that's out of your reach. Well, I mean, why is it? Interesting. Got like a different name. Do you think the Off-World Invader 3 laminate? You have the Vic Firth. So on my home tab, if you go all the way down to the bottom, under the tips and lessons section, past all the thousands of play-alongs, inside of the drumming product reviews, there's a video that talks about the Off-World Invader pad with and without laminates, and then there's also a video that talks about the new Vic Firth pad, comparing it to the old Vic Firth pad. Ooh, padception. And I talk about why the laminate is super important for the articulation, where you can hear the each of those three notes compared to without them. So if you're able to hear on the double-sided pad a very articulated short sound, then great. You might not need the Invader. I have probably at least a dozen practice pads like in the other room. And I like this one the most because of the fact that you can hear like when this is off compared to when doing this. Sorry, just gotta block somebody real quick. And band. Cool. All right. The joys of streaming. But yeah, so if you go to the home tab under the tips and lessons, the drumming product reviews, check out the in the Invader one on there. You might not need it, but for that extra articulation, it can be super helpful for like working on cleaning up your rolls and whatnot. What speed did we just play this at? Okay, 69. So let's go a little bit faster. Whoop. You saw that video? Is there any question that I didn't answer on there that you have a question with? That I can elaborate on? Oops. Slightly slow on that. Not really. It's pretty clear to you. Yeah, I'll say that a lot of younger drummers will tend to focus on the hardware as if that's what's going to like really set them apart. The biggest thing to focus on is just practicing. I've played on many different pads, and yes, it might give you the quote pad hands where like you're playing on a surface that feels very different from a drum, but you're still building up the neural connections so that you can like figure out the rhythms, the timing, all sorts of other things to be able to just improve your playing. So the more you can mimic the drum that you're going to play on, and the shorter, crisper the sound you can get on here, like with these laminates, then the easier it will be to clean. But like you'll be fine even if you have like a gum rubber like drum pad, as long as you're putting in the hours into it to practice. It might take some time to get used to, but you'll be all right in the long run. School is always extremely hard with you regardless of level. Yeah, school I was fine at, but I like just genuinely loathed so many of the topics that I was forced to learn. It's just like, why do I have to learn what, like 12 years of math or whatever? Like, I don't need that. Especially because I knew what I wanted to do, and it was just such a waste of time, in my opinion. Learning all these things that, like, had zero relevance to me. Like, anything beyond geometry or algebra was just like, don't need to know that. Even that was just like, why? And then whenever, like, you'd ask a teacher that, like, specifically with math, you'd be like, why do I need to know this? And they'll be like, because you need to know it for calculus. Okay, why do I need to know calculus? Like, let's go down this series of asking whys like a toddler, and you'll find that there's not a lot of, like, substance behind the whys. Like, even when I did, I forget what level it was, but whatever the doctoral course was for, like, quantitative reasoning and whatnot, you're using SPS, which is like a statistics software that, like, does the math for you. Like, where are you going to analyze data where you do not need to use that? So we're training for, like, the moment where, like, all power goes out and you in that moment need to be able to do a statistical analysis of something. Like, what are the odds of that happening? Like, I don't think I needed to do that. You're really good at focusing on one thing. Yeah, when you have too many things in the mix, it can be difficult. So, like, for me, if you look at, like, the content that I make, like, a lot of it was learning it in phases. So, like, the drumming stuff was learning it for years. And then when I started doing the computer science stuff, like teaching it, I wasn't teaching drumming anymore. I was just focusing on the computer science stuff. And so I did that for quite some time. And it was like, okay, I'm going to learn this programming language this quarter. Next quarter, I'm going to learn another programming language or this IDE or whatever, like, which is basically like the program that you use to program different things. And so I focused on that, but then now I'm back into the focusing on the drumming side of things. So, like, yeah, I have seasons of life where I, like, learn some things and focus on other things. You're concerned because you have one pad, planning to purchase one more for recording breaks. Also, is the fire grain sticks just a gimmick, or does it actually make a difference? I actually have never used any of the fire grain sticks. I don't know what those are, to be honest. Like, what's different about them? The sticks that I'm using are the hammers, the Hardeman hammers. They're just extra heavy, and so, like, they just make it so they work on chop and endurance more. But yeah, haven't used them. I haven't replaced these sticks in forever. I, like, retape them, like, every year or so, and that's about it. Because, like, they're just used on the pad, and I avoid rim shots for a reason. I don't have to do that. So we just did that at what, 74? Let's go up a little faster. Do 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 do. You want to learn jazz? I'll show you some stuff to help with that. I'll show you a couple of things. Oops. Slow on that. Messed up the timing on that. So, Angela, so if you go to the home tab, if you scroll down to the limb independent section, every one of these playlists links to a video. The second note of the video that talks about like how to develop limb independence. So the limb independence section here has a bunch of timing exercises and a bunch of charts, both straight and swung, to be able to work on it. And when you click on any one of the playlists inside of here, this one has several steps that you can follow from the very beginning, working up to being able to do limb independent stuff. But also the second link in all of these like thousands of free play-alongs and whatnot, that takes you to /gear, specifically if you go to the percussion one right here. This takes you to my website that has like a bunch of different books that I recommend for like jazz in particular. For me, I started off with Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer by Jim Chapin. So this book was great for just like learning a lot of things related to jazz. But 50 Ways to Syncopation combined with the 20 charts in here, like the 12 solos, I think they're called, at the end of Ted Reed's book, Syncopation, and then the 55 drum charts that are on my home tab, will keep you busy for a while. 50 Ways to Syncopation is a book that Dom uses when he teaches the jazz majors at Arizona State University, where he's the drum set professor there. And most of the students don't even get through all 50 of the ways in like a 4-year degree. So it can give you plenty of content to work on. But those are some different jazz-related books that are super helpful for it. And if you go to the first link that's at the top of each one of the play-alongs, then that takes you to /drum, which is on here. And this is just like all of the exercises organized neater. So the limb independent section is where I'd recommend spending your time working on limb independent stuff, which I'll be doing tomorrow in tomorrow's stream. But again, this video, the how to develop limb independence on the drum kit, is linked on all of these different playlists, so you can work on that. You haven't played a DCI snare break before? Is there anything you should work on to start trying to learn? Pretty confident. My vocabulary, just every time I try to play a break. You struggle a lot? Yeah, so if you're playing along to like recordings of like Boston and things like that on YouTube, you can actually go into the gear and you can slow it down. So like my play-alongs make it so that you can go one click at a time faster, starting at 40 beats a minute, going all the way up to like 200 beats a minute or whatever. But if you're playing along to lot clips, if you go to the little gear in the corner, if you go to playback speed, you have a slider right here. So you can be like, I want to actually practice this super slow or like a little bit faster. And you can start going up by like smaller increments, like 5% at a time, basically, going up through here. So I'd highly recommend using that when playing along with like the breaks. But I want to say that with a caveat that what I mentioned earlier in this stream, what I recommend is spending for any snare drummer or tenor drummer or whatever is like 50 to 60% of your time should be on the technique exercises. Then 30 to 40% of your time should be on grid variations. And then 10, maybe 20% of your time at most should be on chop related stuff like breaks for snare breaks, tenor breaks, or any of these like shopping sprees that I've been working on, etc. The reason why I'm saying that is because most people think that like, oh, well, in order to like make it onto this like snare line for DCI, I need to know like what their snare break was the previous year. The instructors like literally will not care at all if you can play the last 10 years of all their snare breaks. What they're going to care about is how clean are you with your playing. So a lot of my drumming tips talks about the importance of focusing on technique exercises, but there's a reason why there's almost 400 of these exercises. And there's only 80 of these chop exercises right here, is because these are not as important as the other things. There are other content creators who focus on creating that style of content, like Jeff Fry with Freestyle Rudiments has a ton of videos on like how to learn this snare break, how to learn this other snare break, etc. Great, that's cool. But that's like 10, maybe 20% of your time at most should be spent like practicing that stuff. What you really need to focus on are the technique exercises. I promise that is the thing that will separate you from everybody else. And there's like several drumming tips videos that elaborates on that particular concept. You're going into 7th grade band, any recommendations? Yeah, have fun. Depending on what instrument you're playing, if you're playing drums, there's a ton of exercises to work on. I'd highly recommend taking a look at the technique stuff, like the timing exercises, etc. TLDR is quality over complexity. My initial response is yes. Let me make sure there's not like a yeah, but kind of thing. I like to put thought behind the things that I say. I don't know if I would use the word quality as much as I would say consistency over complexity. So the consistency of your playing is going to matter more. So for example, if you're the kind of person who's like playing, I don't know, a shopping spree, just a basic shopping spree, flam accents and flam drags, and you're like, every single one of those flam accents and flam drags, I tried to make it sound different. So like you might have a flam drag that's like closed off and late. You might have a flam drag that's slurred out. Something like that. You might have a grace note where it's too open. If you are just constantly like fluctuating with the interpretation of your diddle, fluctuating with the interpretation of like how much space is there between the grace note and the primary note, or sometimes am I getting flat flams, or sometimes am I getting open flams, and then other times I'm getting normal flams, but the grace note is raised up, etc. Like all of those things are way more important than like, well, I can play this thing fast. Like the instructors, I promise, I say this as a former caption head, they don't care about the chop stuff. What they care about is the technique stuff and the consistency of that technique. So like if you could play a shopping spree, but every rep you play through it, it sounds different, but you can play it super fast, like great, high five, you've put in some effort. But if you can't play like triple a diddle and you can't play it like a measure the same way 10, 20 times in a row, sorry, you're not going to make the line. It doesn't matter if you have the hands for it. It's the consistency that matters. Any tips on the second hit of the diddle? Yeah, so if you go under the here, drumming tips, there's quite a few videos that actually talk about that. So for example, where is it? Drumming tip 92, how to improve the second note of a diddle. Again, this drumming tip 92. That specifically focus on that. There's also another one that's a drumming tip 83, a thorough approach for learning and refining your diddles. And then there's also multiple that focus on scrapes. So, scrape. How to get comfortable with tenor sweeps and scrapes. That's drumming tips number 58. But there's also drumming tips number 53, tips for improving tenors, sweeps, or scrapes. So yeah, there's the drumming tips playlist will keep you busy for a while. But yeah, anyways. So the home tab is where you can find all of the play-alongs. Again, don't focus on the chop stuff. What I really recommend is focusing on the technique stuff if you're a rudimental drummer. And then the drumming tips section, again, this has 15 hours of tips where I've answered questions like this on the stream. So you can see prior answers, and then there's like scripted lessons, like how to hold traditional grip, things like that. But anyways, I've gone a little bit long on here. This is a fun spree. I really like it. It's super long though, so didn't get as fast as like some of the other ones. But I do want to come back to this one in the future and speed this one up. But because like there's a new spree coming out every other day, and in between those days I'm playing like limit independent stuff, I'm gonna need to come back to this because the next spree that comes out 2 days from now on Tuesday is gonna be what? Let's take a look. So under the shopping sprees, no, I don't think it. Yeah. Okay, so the RCC, no, FSU 1999. That's the next one that'll come out in 2 days, and then 2 days after that will be the RCC's 2007 spree, which is interesting because it starts off the left hand. Weird. Anyways, if you enjoy these free resources, share them with somebody else who might enjoy it. If you don't enjoy these resources, share them with an enemy. And you can be like, mwah, ha, 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 ha. I know you will hate this as much as I do. Ha, 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 ha. Anyways, I'm going to get ready for the Dishonored standalone DLC. I went through a couple hours of it yesterday, so we're going to do that here in probably about 15 or so minutes. So I got to get set up for that. So I appreciate everybody stopping in. I appreciate the questions, and I hope you have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.